friends, so today I'm going to teach you how to make gift card holders with your Cricut, and not just boring gift card holders. We're going to talk all the things. I'm going to show you how to bring in shapes, how to work with patterns, how to do embellishments, like all the fun things that you might want to do on a gift card holder. So today in this example, we're going to create something for back to school, so like a teacher gift card holder, but this could be great for any holiday, birthday, get well, whatever the case may be when you want to give a gift card to someone, but you want to spice it up and not just hand them, you know, the little card that you get from the store. So I'm going to walk you beginning to end and give you all the tips and all the in and out tricks. So let's pop over to Cricut Design Space and get started. And by the way, if you're new here, you're crafting with Kim Byers. Let's go. Let's start with what materials we're going to use. I have my Explore 3, I have some cardstock, and this is 80-pound cardstock. I also love 100-pound, and this is a corrugated paper. It's really fun, and it's going to mimic that coffee cup really well. And then I also have Zots, so I have glue dots and foam adhesive squares, and I have my green mat, a spatula in case I need to peel up my design, and a pair of scissors. Okay, so let's start in Cricut Design Space, and I've gone ahead and pulled in the designs that I want us to work with today. So first and foremost, let's choose a theme. So I went in and I searched for coffee cup, and we're just going to add that to canvas. I wanted something general and basic. Now to see what you have to work with, look over into right-hand navigation, and you're going to be able to see if the image is a single layer, multi-layer, what you have to work with. So we have chosen a single layer design, so I'm just going to duplicate that, bring that over. We're going to use the contour tool and eliminate all of the contours so that we can get that single background shape. So now I have a complete duplicate and I have a back to my coffee cup. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is create a background for this. So I want a card behind my shape or behind my coffee cup. So I chose this rectangle, and why not make it a little more fun and actually put a pattern on that rectangle, making it look even more like the brand of Starbucks. So the first thing you want to do is click on that item. You look up here and it says Basic Cut. So what you want to do is drop down and you want to make that a print then cut. Okay, so print then cut is something that you have access to when you have a Maker or you have an Explore, and it's one of those tools that is so much fun. Unfortunately, you can't do it with a Cricut Joy, but if you have a Maker and an Explore, try this out. And so let me show you how to do that. But by the way, if you have a Cricut Joy, you can still use pens and write all of this text in. You just have to use fonts that has a writable, you have to choose the fonts that are writable. But you can use pens and markers and glitter pens and all kinds of things to write that message on this design as well. So let's pop back into Cricut Design Space and I'll show you how to do this print then cut. Super easy. Okay, so now that is a print then cut of green, but I don't want it to just be green, so let's go into the colors. And so now that it's a print then cut, you can drop down to pattern. And then you can actually use the filter and choose a green pattern and see everything that they have here. Now I uploaded a couple of these patterns, so just know they're not in Cricut Design Space right now. So I uploaded this green and white stripe. So if you don't see what you want in this green area, then what you can do is go over to a couple of my favorite websites and get a pattern to download and bring into Cricut Design Space. So let's show you how to do that. Okay, so this is creativefabrica.com, and I use this site and another one that I'll show you in just a moment, but these sites are amazing. There are so many things, from fonts and designs for sublimation. It has some beautiful things for sublimation or for what we're doing right now. So we are going to look for a green and white stripe pattern. So let's see what we can find. So it pops up all these beautiful pattern sets. And so I love going here to get things for the holidays. I chose this one right here, emerald and white. And so now you can download that. And I have a subscription to this site, so you can download anything on this site with that subscription. And it's thousands, hundreds of thousands of designs and patterns. And it's just tons of fun. So I will put links to this specific paper set down below, and I'll put links to the subscription if you want to check that out. So let's go ahead. I've downloaded this to my computer. Let's go ahead back to Cricut Design Space, and I'll show you how to upload a pattern and work with that. I just go over into upload, And so here, typically you're uploading images, right? Well, we're going to do a pattern fill. So we do upload pattern, and then I just pull it in from wherever I had it on my desktop. And so since I've already pulled in the stripes, let's pull in this football pattern, just so you can see what it is. So it pulls in a name, you can change that name, and then you can select the color so that you can easily search for it later. And we hit upload. Now sometimes, and I don't know why it does this, it'll say pattern fill did not save, but every single time it saves. I don't know what that is, but it's in there. So let's hit cancel, and then let's go back out and I can actually show you. So we go to color, pattern, I'm going to filter for green, and then there it is. Ta-da! So now what we can do is we have this great fun background, and I was kind of doing this like a Starbucks theme, so that's why we have the green and white stripe. And now what I'm going to do is create a few things on top of that. So the first thing I did is I took these shapes that I did, right, and I turned this one white. So here it is. Here's our white outline. And all you do is you literally click on it, and then I'm just going to turn it to white, and then I overlaid the text using the text feature here. So I chose Alicia Display, and I think this is one actually from my computer, but you can choose any font that you want. And then I also chose this other one, which is another version of that. It's like a cursive version of the Sip Sip. And so I typed out my text and I laid it over the top of that image. So you just drag it over top, you type in anything you want. When you're ready and you know that you have all of your pieces together, and we'll use this one up here as an example. So I'll just overlay that, and I click both of these, use my shift key, make sure both are selected. I could even select them both in my right hand navigation, and I'm going to do print then cut. Okay, so now I've made the text word print and this back piece print, but they're not attached to each other. They're individual pieces. So if you look over in the navigation, you see this says text. If you send it to the mat, it's literally going to be alone, and so is this cup. So let's select both the text and the cup and go down and select flatten. And now you can see in the navigation it actually says print then cut. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at like what we have so far. So far I have my background, which is a print then cut stripe. I have my top layer, which is my Sip Sip Hooray. And now I'm going to have another layer, which is this element here. I'm going to cut it out of brown paper. So this is a cut. This is a print then cut. This back element is a print then cut. And then I'm going to create a circle. Go into shapes. I thought it would be fun to have a little label to put on the front. So right now this is a cut item. So if you look up here, you see basic cut. And then I'm going to put my text on top of that the same way that I did with my text box here. So I'm going to say, thanks a latte for a great school year. And so I typed that out and I laid it on top of my green element. So if you look over into the layers panel, you can see that I have already flattened that as a print then cut. So the next thing that we do is we can just send all of this to Matt, and then we'll be able to assemble. I'm going to use my Explore 3. We have our background, we have our coffee cup, we have our coffee cup, and we have our... So you can see this is an 8.5 by 11 because we're going to print it, and this one is an 8.5 by 11 because we're going to print, and then this is just a normal piece of cardstock. Okay, let's go. Okay, so now what we want to do is send this to printer. And so the most important things here are to select your printer, make sure that you have a bleed, and then use the dialog box. The dialog box is going to allow you to tell your printer that you want a photo quality print, not just a regular print, but a photo quality print. So depending on what your dialog box looks like, just look for the word quality or media type. So we want to choose a photo media type and quality as best. And this will tell your printer to give you all the ink. Okay, so here we are at my printer. I love this printer. I've had it for about 4 years and it still gives great quality prints. I'll link it up down below in case you guys are in the market for a new printer. So we're just going to print this out. You can see my bounding boxes, those black edges. Those are my bounding boxes that the Cricut will read. And so once we do this, let's pop back into Cricut Design Space and choose our paper. Okay, so now back into Etsy, we need to choose our base material. So you're going to want to go up into Browse All Materials, And we'll go down to our cardstock. And now I have an 80-pound is what I used for this project. I love using 100-pound, and I'll use a 65-pound, but 80 to 100 is really my favorite. So we'll select that. And now we're ready to cut. Okay, so here are our two printouts. So we're gonna start with the green. And the only thing that you have to do is just place that on the mat just like you would anything else. You place it in that upper corner. And you can use a brayer to put that down if you want to, or a scraping tool. I'm just gonna use my hands because this is a pretty sticky mat. It's pretty new. So we're gonna put it underneath the grids, load it. These things are genius. So check that out. So see, this was our bleed, right? Just in case it gets a little bit off, because that can happen. And so it is fully taken care of, because we had a bleed on and it went all the way to the edges. Yay, it looks so good. And the same thing for our circle. So, and if you look at the design, you look at the sheet, do you see there where there's some left? And see how it's actually, there's none left on this side, but there is on this side. There's just enough of a bleed all the way around in case it does get a little off center so that it saves your design. Genius. Next, we'll do that with the cup again. So now we have Sip Sip Hooray. And now we want to go back into Cricut Design Space and cut out our corrugated cardboard. So this is going to be the sleeve of our cup. So we'll choose corrugated cardboard and select done. And now we're ready to cut. Back on the craft table, we'll put our corrugated cardboard onto our green mat, and then we'll go ahead and feed that into our Cricut and get that cut out. And now we have a perfect little coffee sleeve that feels exactly like a real coffee sleeve. Perfect. Now what we want to do is we want to talk about how to assemble this. So I have Zots, these small clear glue dots, and I also have some medium Zots, which these are more raised. So these are also a clear glue dot. And then I have foam adhesive squares, and I love to use these on all my paper crafts. I use these a ton. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble. So as we talked about in Cricut Design Space, I wanted this coffee cup to be more of an outline. So let's take some scissors and trim away the areas that we don't want. And now we're going to overlay it. It looks perfect. The little card's going to go in the top. So let's take our Zots. We'll take some very small ones and use those on the outer edge of the coffee cup. And we will put that around the white with the lettering. And then we will use the larger dots to secure our gift card in place and our cup in place. So we'll overlay those and just make sure that they are perfectly aligned. And then we'll put on our little sticker, thanks a latte. And I'm going to use the foam adhesive squares for this so that it gives it a little pop so you can see how it's 3D. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make gift cards with your Cricut. I'll put a few more card videos at the end for you, as well as some back to school projects if you want to check those out. So I'll see you in the next one.